We have Dan Pisarski from LiveU. He's going to give us some info on a very timely topic of broadcasting over social media platforms. Everybody wants to do it, reach the users where they are. He's going to tell us. Take it away, Dan.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Dan Pisarski. I'm the VP of Engineering for the Americas for LiveU. If you guys aren't familiar with LiveU, what we do is we're the originator of what's called the cellular bonding industry. So we've been doing that for 10 years in the E&G market, where our customers are NBC News, Fox News, CNN, all of the major news gathering orgs. And what we launched basically at this show last year was a version of that designed to go directly to online outlets. And that was right at the time, just I guess 6 weeks before Facebook had launched the Facebook Live API. So that quickly became, direct to online outlets quickly became direct to social media. LiveU Solo just won one of the Best of Show awards at NAB this year. Been in the market for just about a year. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was just that, how quickly, kind of a topic we all know well, how quickly things change, right? It seems to be a recurring theme in all of these trade shows. It's something we talk about in the tech industry all the time, but I think it can't be emphasized enough. When I was sort of thinking about this topic and doing a little research on it, I was thinking about when Meerkat, if everybody remembers Meerkat launched, and when Periscope first launched, and the idea of streaming to social media was sort of born. In my mind with those apps, so there might be examples before then, but I feel like those apps really sort of catapulted into the scene. And I was wondering, when was that? Because I couldn't remember exactly myself. That was only 2 years ago. That was 2015, the Periscope launched. So in 2 years, we've gone from take your phone and do a 500 kilobit stream from the camera on the phone over a single connection to the launch of the Facebook Live API, the ability to use professional glass, professional encoders like ours or other encoders out there, and stream what is effectively a broadcast quality stream to social media. So that's a big jump for 2 years in my mind. I mean, certainly online streaming had been around for a long time before then. There have been platforms before them. We all know the OVPs out there and the CDNs who for a long time dominated this space, but social media has really stepped in and become this outlet that has a huge built-in audience. We'll need to emphasize the reasons why social media is a great place to stream. So thinking that all of that changed from the launch of Meerkat and Periscope to where we stand today, with some of the stats about the number of hours streamed every day over Facebook Live, I wanted to just sort of speculate with you guys on what would the next 2 years look like of streaming to social media. Where does LiveU see some of this going? So when we think about moving forward, if we start on the timeline right now, I mean, possible today is the idea of simulstream or what some people call syndication, stream to more than one outlet at a time. That might be more than one social network at a time. Of course, some of the social networks have some rules and restrictions about that, but it could even just be multiple pages on Facebook, multiple Twitter accounts that you want to receive the same stream. You and a partner, you're going to show the content under your Facebook page, your partner's going to show it under theirs. So that's possible today. We do that with a very close partner called Switchboard Live, who's here at the show as well. We can fill you in on the information there. If you stop by our booth, we can get you in contact with them. They make it extremely easy, and it's a very powerful tool. When we look just a little further down the timeline of what everybody's going to, what we think will make streaming to social media even more powerful, one of the things that we look at is really taking some of the techniques of TV broadcast that have been around for 70 years and bringing that to these broadcast social media. So that would include production value in the stream, things like graphics. One of the reasons for that is because we spent a long time in this industry. All the people like myself that have been coming to this show for years, we spent a long time in this industry focused on the player experience and being able to control the player experience. And then here comes the social media platforms, which are great to stream to, but they take away that ability to customize the player experience. So I can no longer control exactly what the player looks like. Sometimes I can't even control what colors it is. It shows in the Facebook user experience. So now I need to put that information that I might have controlled through the player experience back into the video stream, the way TV has traditionally done. Since for all those years, the people broadcasted TV, they didn't control what the TV set itself looked like. So you're actually rendering pixels right into the raster of the stream as a way to convey information. Your logo, a lower third about who's speaking, information and further information about what news topic you're talking about or what topic you're talking about. This isn't even the best example, this graphic that I grabbed in time for the show, because the majority of your viewers are out there watching the stream on their mobile platform. And so the same size text that worked for a 60-inch TV is not going to work for graphics done for somebody watching on their phone. So we're focused on mobile-first graphics. And then the ability for those graphics to look good if somebody happens to be watching on their Apple TV or blow it up on their Roku. But when they're looking at it in the palm of their hand, you want that same information to come through. The lower third's got to change a little bit from the traditional sense of the TV lower third. In addition to kind of focused on the screen resolution, screen size, we're looking at what the different rules of the social platforms are. So they have their own opinions about what to put up. They don't want you to put up advertising in some cases. They don't want you to have the logo up there for the entirety of the stream in other cases. So a graphics platform that would build in functionality that complies by their rules also builds in the idea of mobile first. We think that's sort of the big next step when it comes to streaming to social media, a way to take production value and put it into your stream. Looking even a little further down the road, there's, I think, going to be somewhat of a blurry line between that and the idea of augmented reality that's gotten a lot of press recently. So at the Facebook Developers Conference, this was one of Facebook's big initiatives. They're putting an awful lot of R&D dollars into it. And of course, the idea of augmented reality, you might be looking through the camera at a live shot and it's overlaying information onto that. But the difference between that and then watching a video and seeing graphics that would effectively be customized for the viewer, maybe customized because of the location you're in, maybe customized because obviously the social platforms know an awful lot about who you are as the viewer. So this idea of, well, now we have algorithms that can determine these things in real time, determine graphics put up in real time, and place them in three-dimensional space for you, is going to blur the line between, hey, I need a lower third up here that identifies who this person is, and I need a lower third up here that's going to follow that person around the screen if they happen to move around, and a lower third that was determined by an AI because it did facial recognition on them and knew who it was to put there. So that's, getting further down the timeline, I think, but we think that's the direction. I think there'll be, as I said, sort of a blurred line between traditional production graphics and the idea of augmented reality moving in. That was really all we wanted to cover. Again, that sort of workflow of streaming them to multiple destinations across the social platforms, adding production value to the stream, looking down the road at where the social platforms want to see this go, which is very AI driven, and seeing where the different line, where that's going to cross over to that idea of production value. Also, just to give a further introduction to what LiveU does, have a little reel here that'll show you, what some of the use cases for things like a portable encoder would be. And then that's it. Any questions after we can take after the video? Lost my pointer.
nice reel. Very nice reel. I saw you had some Humane Society in there. They're one of your people, right?
Yep.
I just spoke to them for an article. They're saving lives, and they're using your equipment to broadcast that live to their followers.
It's a perfect example of wanting to broadcast from almost anywhere and being able to do it. So,
Yeah,
they're out in the field.
They said they did some things from South Korea, and they were able to stream it just perfectly all over the world, doing some fantastic work. Who's got a question for Dan? Anyone have a question for Dan? Okay, we got one here.
Hi, do you insert the logo with a USB drive into the unit itself, or is that in the cloud?
That's in the cloud. So we think that type of added production to the stream that I was talking about really should happen in the cloud. It's, certainly from a technological position, it's easier at the encoder to sort of do it, at the USB drive and do it at the moment of encode. But we think that there's a lot more options when you bring that stream back to the cloud and then start adding the production value there. You can take in multiple streams to be able to switch between them. You can do some last minute changes to the graphics. So for instance, if you are, one of the use cases that we saw a lot of people excited about with the Solo was to be at the political rallies last year, going on, still continuing into this year, protests and political rallies. And there you might be walking around and not sure who you're going to speak to, who you're going to interview, or who you're going to run into. And then want somebody back at home base who's controlling that cloud production to be able to type in that lower third very quickly. Here we are at the Women's March and we ran into Leonardo DiCaprio. Let me type that in very fast and then have that lower third up. And that's where, again, on that kind of evolutionary timeline, we see that today in the very near future, in 2017, being able to do that in the cloud and type it in. But tomorrow, look at 2018, probably, have some options to have an artificial intelligence just fill that information in based on things like facial recognition.
Okay, we got one more. Yes. Pardon me?
Yeah, I heard you guys got started with technology out of Israel. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you guys first got into the space and where the technology came from?
Sure, absolutely. So one of our founders, Avi Cohen, who also runs the US office, tells a great story about, I think it was being at a soccer match and walking past the satellite trucks and thinking to himself, in this day and age with phones getting more and more powerful, how can it still be necessary to bring this giant satellite truck to the game as a way to get the video back? And so began working on this idea originally in Israel, and then soon came over to the US to bring that technology here as well. Of we can take cell connections at that time weren't even LTE, but they're getting better and better and faster and faster. And if we take many of them and put them all together, then we can probably get a pipe big enough to send video over. That was 10 years ago. So since then we've, as I said, led that space for the E&G market. A lot of our engineering takes place in Israel as well as a few other places around the world. But then, also brought the same exact protocol that we use for the E&G market and same exact technology, and just brought it to that idea of, now in addition to going back to get baseband out because I want to transmit that, let me just take that straight to Facebook Live or YouTube or.
Okay, we have time for another one. Anyone? All right. Oh, we got one more.
Is it just a logo sort of watermark, or are there other graphics that you can add?
Yeah, so definitely, again, the idea of being mobile first and wanting to watch that stream on your phone and see the graphics here. We think that some graphics that worked for TV won't translate well, but other graphics we think will translate very well. So lower third, if you pump up the font size a little bit, make sure it's very high contrast against whatever the video background is, you can read very easily on the phone. Full screen slates, another good one to have on the phone. Scoreboard for sports, very applicable. Some things that are very popular in the TV world, like the full L, where the video is shrunk down and there's constant information on the right and bottom, might not be as applicable to the phone because it might crowd the phone screen a little bit. But in the same token, maybe some savvy graphic designer will come along and find a good way to apply that. But I think the focus, especially early on, will be on logos, lower thirds, full screen slates, scoreboards for sports. And that's where our focus is going to be as well. Yeah, the goal is to have those templates built in. If you've got designers and you've got a production, arm and they want to work in Photoshop and bring something else in, of course there'll be that advanced option. But for everybody else, it's pick from a list of templates and get going.
Okay, thank you very much, Dan. Applause for Dan.
Thank
Good
you.
job.